The dusty airfield stretched out beneath the late afternoon sun, a forgotten landscape where dreams of flight slowly faded into rust and memory. Jay Park sat in an old maintenance shed, his fingers tracing the worn edges of his pilot's logbook. Once a top-tier military test pilot, he was now just another veteran left behind by budget cuts and political indifference. His weathered flight jacket hung on a nail, the patches telling stories of missions long past. The room smelled of machine oil and forgotten ambitions. Outside, a single small aircraft sat on the runway, a constant reminder of skills that seemed no longer needed. A strange humming sound broke the silence. Jay looked up, his sharp pilot's instincts immediately alert. The air seemed to shimmer and a sleek metallic figure materialized near the hangar door. Not human. Definitely not human. The alien was tall, approximately 7 feet, with skin that looked like polished silver, and eyes that shifted between blue and green. It carried no visible weapons, but moved with a precision that suggested complete understanding of its surroundings. "Jay Park," the alien spoke in perfect Korean. "Your flight records have been interesting." Jay didn't move. Years of military training had taught him to remain calm, to assess before reacting. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice steady. The alien tilted its head, a surprisingly human gesture. "I represent the Galactic Peacekeeping Force. We've been monitoring exceptional pilot candidates across different species. You are our primary human selection." A recruitment pitch from an alien. If someone had told Jay this a week ago, he would have laughed. Now he was living it. The alien produced a holographic display showing Jay's most challenging flight missions, impossible maneuvers during test flights, split-second decisions that saved experimental aircraft, rescue missions that defied standard flight protocols, every moment captured with stunning clarity. Your ability to read environmental conditions, predict mechanical failures, and make instantaneous complex calculations sets you apart, the alien explained. Most pilots follow predetermined paths. You create paths where none exist. Jay understood now. His unconventional approach, often criticized by military superiors, was precisely what made him unique. He didn't just fly aircraft. He communicated with them, understood their limits, and pushed beyond those boundaries. "What exactly are you offering?" Jay asked, a hint of curiosity breaking through his professional composure. The alien's eyes flickered, a chance to fly beyond Earth's atmosphere, to protect not just one planet but multiple civilizations. Your skills are rare. Most species have rigid flight protocols. Humans, you improvise. For the first time in years, Jay felt a spark of excitement. The mundane world of waiting and wondering disappeared. Here was an opportunity that defied everything he had known. The alien extended a silvery hand. No dramatic speech, no overwhelming promises, just a simple invitation to something extraordinary. Jay's hand moved almost automatically. As their hands touched, a surge of energy passed between them, a connection that transcended language, species, and traditional understanding of communication. In that moment, Jay Park knew his life was about to change forever. The forgotten airfield, the dusty shed, the old aircraft, they would become memories of a previous existence. Space, with its infinite possibilities and unknown challenges, was calling. The alien waited, watching Jay's reaction. No pressure, no urgency, just a patient invitation to something greater than anything humanity had ever experienced. Jay looked around the small shed, his world until this moment. A lifetime of training, of pushing mechanical limits, of understanding the delicate dance between human skill and technological potential, had led to this singular moment. "When do we leave?" he asked. The alien's response was a simple smile that spoke volumes. The adventure was about to begin. The orbital training station hung like a metallic jewel against the endless black of space. Massive windows looked out into the infinite darkness, where stars seemed to pulse with quiet anticipation. Jay Park stood in a circular training room, surrounded by alien technology that looked more like living art than machinery. His first day of training was nothing like he expected. No military-style drills, no rigid instructions. Instead, the training involved something more complex, understanding spatial dynamics through pure intuition. Instructor Kiral, a being with skin that shifted colors like liquid metal, watched Jay carefully. "Humans are different," Kiral murmured, more to himself than to Jay. The alien's communication was a mix of verbal language and subtle body movements that seemed to carry additional meaning. The training simulator came alive. It wasn't a screen or a traditional cockpit, but a living environment that responded to Jay's smallest movement. Holographic representations of spacecraft twisted and turned around him, creating complex three-dimensional puzzles that would challenge any pilot. Where other species saw fixed paths, Jay saw possibilities. His hands moved instinctively, creating flight patterns that defied standard navigation protocols. The simulator responded, changing its parameters, almost as if it was challenging him. Kirill's eyes widened. Most pilots took weeks to understand the basic navigation systems. Jay was rewriting them in minutes. "You do not follow rules," Kirill observed. "You create new ones." Jay remembered his old military instructors who constantly criticized his unorthodox approaches. Here, those same approaches were becoming his greatest strength. Each movement was a conversation between human skill and alien technology. The training room itself seemed alive. Walls shifted, creating gravitational challenges that would crush typical pilots. But Jay moved like water, understanding the environmental changes before they happened. His body anticipated shifts, his mind calculating multiple scenarios simultaneously. During a particularly complex navigation exercise, Jay discovered something remarkable. The alien technology responded better to emotional intuition than pure mathematical calculation. Where other pilots would input precise coordinates, he would feel the right direction. "Interesting," Kirill noted, recording every movement. "Humans operate on something beyond pure logic. You have connection." The training wasn't just about flying. It was about understanding different perspectives, reading environmental signals that went beyond standard instrumentation. Jay was learning a new language, the language of interstellar navigation. Other trainees from various alien species watched Jay with a mixture of confusion and growing respect. His methods were unpredictable, his skills seemingly impossible. Where they saw rigid patterns, he saw fluid opportunities. During a simulated combat scenario, Jay's approach shocked everyone. Instead of direct confrontation, he used environmental conditions, asteroid fields, and gravitational pulls as strategic elements. He didn't fight the space. He became part of it. Kirill understood now why humans had been selected. They weren't just pilots. They were adaptable, creative problem solvers who could transform challenges into opportunities. By the end of the first training cycle, Jay had rewritten several standard navigation protocols. The alien training system had learned as much from him as he had learned from it. "You are not just learning to fly," Kirill explained during a review session. "You are learning to communicate with space itself." Jay smiled. For the first time since leaving military service, he felt truly alive. This wasn't just a job. This was a calling. The orbital station continued its silent journey through space, carrying within it a human who was about to change everything humans understood about interstellar travel. As the training session ended, Jay looked out into the vast darkness. Somewhere out there, a universe of possibilities was waiting to be explored. And he was ready. The deep space corridor burned with unexpected tension. Alarms screamed across multiple communication channels, and Jay's spacecraft hummed with potential energy. This was no longer a training simulation. This was real combat. Enemy ships approached from multiple vectors, their design unlike anything Jay had seen during training. Sharp, angular vessels that looked more like living shadows than mechanical constructs. They moved with calculated precision, hunting the peacekeeping fleet like predators. Jay's communication system crackled. Commander Vena's voice carried a hint of desperation. "Maintain formation, do not break ranks." But Jay understood something the other pilots didn't. Rigid formations meant certain destruction against these adaptive attackers. His hands moved across the control interface. not following standard protocols but creating new navigation patterns. Where other pilots saw straight lines, Jay saw curved opportunities. He began weaving between enemy vessels, using asteroid fields and gravitational pulls as natural shields. The enemy ships were confused. Their targeting systems couldn't predict his movement. Jay wasn't just flying. He was dancing through space, turning the battlefield into his personal canvas. Two enemy vessels attempted to bracket his position. Normal pilots would have panicked. Jay smiled. He performed a maneuver that defied standard physics, using a nearby moon's gravitational field to suddenly change direction, causing the enemy ships to collide with each other. It wasn't just a tactical move. It was an artistic statement of survival. Commander Vena's shocked voice came through. How did you do that?" Jay didn't answer. He was already calculating his next move. The peacekeeping fleet watched in amazement. This human pilot was rewriting space combat strategy. In real time, where traditional tactics suggested defense, Jay was creating offensive opportunities from seemingly impossible positions. One by one, enemy vessels started falling, not through pure firepower, but through intelligent navigation and understanding of spatial dynamics. Jay treated space like a living environment, not just a battlefield. His spacecraft became an extension of his consciousness. Every movement was intuitive, every decision made in milliseconds. The alien technology responded to his unique human approach, amplifying his natural skills. The battle lasted approximately 17 minutes. When it ended, Jay's squadron had suffered minimal damage, while the enemy fleet was completely decimated. Silence filled the communication channels. Commander Vena broke the quiet. "Report, Pilot Park." Jay's response was simple and calm. "Mission completed." Back on the command ship, alien commanders reviewed the combat recordings. They watched, rewatched, and discussed Jay's unprecedented tactics. This wasn't just about winning a battle. This was about understanding a completely different approach to conflict. The enemy fleet's technology was advanced. Their weapons were sophisticated, but they lacked the one thing Jay possessed: human creativity. As medical teams checked pilots and repaired spacecraft, Jay remained focused. He knew this was just the beginning. Space was vast, and challenges would continue to emerge. His fellow pilots looked at him differently now. No longer was he the new human recruit. He was a legend in the making. Commander Vena approached Jay, her alien features displaying a complex mix of emotions: respect, curiosity, and a hint of something that resembled professional admiration. "Explain your strategy," she requested. Jay simply shrugged. "I flew human style." Those 4 words would become legendary across multiple star systems, marking the moment humanity proved its unique approach to interstellar combat. The universe had just witnessed something extraordinary: a human pilot who didn't just fight in space but conversed with it. The Galactic Command Center buzzed with an unusual energy. Holographic displays showed Jay Park's recent combat recordings, playing on repeat for countless alien military strategists. His unconventional flight techniques had become the most studied material in interstellar military archives. Senior commanders from multiple species gathered around the central display. Some looked confused, others looked intrigued. A Vreen commander, a crystalline being with multiple transparent limbs, pointed at specific moments in Jay's flight recordings. "Look at how he uses environmental conditions," the Vreen commander explained. "He doesn't fight against space. He becomes part of it." The recordings showed something unprecedented. Where traditional pilots saw obstacles, Jay saw opportunities. Asteroid fields became defensive shields. Gravitational pulls became acceleration points. Planetary atmospheres transformed into tactical advantages. Military academies across different star systems began requesting copies of his flight recordings. Pilots from dozens of civilizations started studying what they now called human navigation techniques. Jay himself remained surprisingly calm about the entire situation. He understood something deeper. This wasn't just about personal achievement. This was about changing fundamental understanding of space combat. The command center's primary strategist, a being named Coral, with skin that changed colors like living light, approached Jay directly. "Your methods challenge everything we know about spatial navigation," Coral said. Jay's response was simple. "Most species see boundaries, humans see possibilities." Training programs began transforming. Where once pilots followed strict mathematical calculations, they now learned to integrate intuition and creative thinking. Human instructors were suddenly in high demand across multiple star systems. The military leadership wasn't entirely pleased. Traditional commanders felt threatened by these new approaches. They had spent centuries developing precise combat strategies, and here was a human fundamentally changing everything. During a critical strategy meeting, Jay demonstrated something extraordinary. Using a complex simulator, he showed how human pilots could transform seemingly impossible scenarios into potential victories. He didn't just show tactics, he revealed an entirely new philosophy of engagement. "We don't win by following rules," Jay explained. "We win by understanding that rules can always be rewritten." His demonstration shocked the assembled military leaders. Some were impressed, others were terrified. But nobody could ignore the effectiveness of his approach. Researchers began documenting what they called human adaptive response mechanisms. Jay's brain scans revealed something unique, an ability to process spatial information differently from other known species. The breakthrough wasn't just military. Diplomatic channels started recognizing humans as potentially the most adaptable species in known space. Where other civilizations saw fixed paths, humans saw infinite possibilities. Coral compiled a comprehensive report. The title was simple but powerful: Human Navigation, a New Paradigm of Spatial Engagement. Jay understood he was part of something much larger than himself. He wasn't just a pilot. He was a representative of human potential, showing the galaxy that creativity could be the most powerful weapon. Training simulations across star systems began incorporating human-style techniques. Pilots learned to think beyond traditional boundaries, to see space not as a fixed environment but as a living, dynamic system. The most remarkable aspect was how quickly other species adapted. What seemed radical became standard practice in less than 2 galactic cycles. Jay had not just changed military strategy, he had transformed an entire approach to understanding space. During a private moment, Coral asked Jay the most important question: how do humans develop such unique perspectives? Jay's answer was profound in its simplicity. We never stop asking, what if? The galaxy was listening, and everything was about to change. The interstellar diplomatic summit looked like something between a grand meeting and a technological marvel. Hundreds of alien species gathered, their representatives wearing unique communication devices that translated thoughts as easily as words. Jay Park stood at the center of everything, though he looked slightly uncomfortable in the formal diplomatic attire. He was a pilot, not a politician. But today he represented something much larger than himself: humanity's potential. The main chamber was a massive spherical room where gravity seemed optional. Holographic displays showed humanity's recent achievements, with Jay's space combat recordings playing in continuous loops. Species from across multiple star systems watched with a mixture of respect and curiosity. A senior Galactic Council representative, a being composed of what looked like living light, stepped forward. "Humanity has proven itself," the representative announced. "Your adaptability is unprecedented." Diplomatic protocols were changing. Where humans were once considered a minor species, they were now seen as potential leaders in technological and strategic innovation. Jay's actions had transformed humanity's galactic reputation overnight. Military academies across different star systems had already integrated human-style training techniques. Pilots were learning to think creatively, to see possibilities instead of limitations. The rigid, mathematical approach to space navigation was becoming obsolete. Jay remembered his humble beginnings, a test pilot forgotten by his own military, now standing as a representative of human potential. The irony wasn't lost on him. Representatives from different civilizations approached him. They wanted to understand the human perspective, to learn the secret of their unique approach to problem solving. It's simple, Jay would explain. We don't accept that something is impossible. We just haven't found the right way to do it yet. Those words became a mantra across multiple star systems. Humanity was no longer seen as a young, inexperienced species. They were viewed as potential game changers. The diplomatic summit wasn't just a meeting. It was a recognition of humanity's unique place in the galactic community. Where other species had specialized skills, humans demonstrated an extraordinary ability to adapt and innovate. Researchers presented detailed studies about human cognitive flexibility. Brain scans showed that humans processed information differently, seeing connections where others saw barriers. It wasn't just about intelligence, it was about creative potential. Diplomatic agreements began changing. Humans were now invited to strategic planning committees. Their perspectives were sought in complex problem-solving scenarios. The galaxy had discovered that sometimes the most innovative solution comes from thinking completely outside established patterns. Jay understood he was part of something much larger. This wasn't about personal achievement. This was about opening doors for entire generations of humans who would follow. The most powerful moment came unexpectedly. A young human diplomat, watching the proceedings, turned to Jay and said, "You've changed everything we thought was possible." Jay's response was humble. "We're just getting started." As the summit concluded, multiple species signed collaborative agreements. Space exploration programs, scientific research initiatives, and diplomatic exchanges were being redesigned to incorporate human creativity. The galaxy was recognizing something profound, that diversity of thought was humanity's greatest strength. Where other species saw limitations, humans saw opportunities. Outside the diplomatic chamber, stars continued their ancient dance. But something had changed. The universe now looked at humanity differently, not as a young, inexperienced species, but as potential leaders of a new approach to understanding existence. Jay Park stood at the window, looking out into the infinite darkness. He knew this was just the beginning of humanity's journey among the stars. The universe had been waiting for humans. And now, they had arrived.